this I just found, to be really smack you right in the eyes here, is that the trust gap, comparing trust in businesses in general and family-owned businesses, if you look at the US right there, there is a 13-point gap, and sorry, it's a 24% gap between family-owned businesses and non-family-owned businesses. And so, I go back and say, what are we doing to leverage the fact that you have trust coming right out of the gate, and make sure that you're compounding what you have. And back to our, Bill Campbell. Bill Campbell says you need to trust your managers and make sure that they trust their team. Jim Collins says it differently. He says, make sure that you've identified the right seats. What are the right functions within the business? And then make sure that you have the right people in those seats, and that those right seats are filled, the right people are doing them, and what they're doing the right things. So there's just some great, topics around these things, and building teams is all about trusting them. What Bill Campbell did with the people that he coached on a regular basis was spent time watching them, how they interacted with their team. And that's what he coached them on. He's not going to coach Google on their algorithm. He's not going to coach Facebook on their algorithm, or Amazon on which products that they should be doing. It was all about, how do you work with your team, and how do you build, more loyalty within your team. This is interesting. This is, where family businesses, have a shortfall in what they're doing. There is, there's a gap in what is expected from employees and what the employer's performance actually is. It's a 16-point gap in wages. Well, here's the good news. Compare that to non-family owned businesses that have a 24-point gap. Career opportunities, a 15-point gap versus 19. Regular communication, 15 versus 17. That's phenomenal. The gap is only 15, but we have room for improvement there. Training programs, 11. Employees have a voice, 10. But look at that compared to in the large non-family owned businesses where they have a 18-point gap. So I go back and say, this is so important that we understand and we invest in trust, because the returns are higher. And what are your return, what has your return been on trust in the last 2 to 3 months? What is your return on trust going to be over the next 12 months? And if you want an even higher return on trust, what I would throw to you is that, the right business coach that you trust, would probably help. And I would think that if Steve Jobs, Larry Page and Sergey Brin and Eric Schmidt, Jeff Bezos and Sheryl Sandberg all hired a coach to help them in working through their team, because at the end of the day, remember, it's all about people. So that means people need to feel trust, and go back to Maslow's pyramid and make sure that we're working on those 5 different areas. It wouldn't make sense that, we all have a coach that is helping us to look at what we're doing with our team and how we're building our teams. Family business is perceived as more values driven among employees. And this is one of the reasons why that trust is inherent, is because of the family's values. An organization acts on its values. That's a 10-point advantage. CEO speaks up on issues. It's okay to speak up on issues that are out in society today. 8-point advantage. The CEO embodies organization's values. Only a 5-point difference on that one. But again, all of those things, look at how important they are to people as we're doing these things. So I would throw out to you that it's a time, and you've heard, hopefully heard me talk about this, but today we're going to go through and, go through some examples of how to do these things. Among large family business employees, 80% say knowing the CEO's personal values is important to building trust. How cool is that? They want to know, what do you believe in and what are your values? 79% say knowing the obstacles the CEO overcame to become successful is important to building trust. I think we've talked about that in past, episodes of the Family Biz Show, where, You know, we talked about it's time to share your struggles. It's time to talk about other times when we've overcome things within the family business. And then 76% say knowing the CEO's personal philanthropic opportunities go a long way towards building trust.